Oh, that's not good though.
Oh no, look at that. Just like an unwanted credit card. It
Wow.
snapped and died.
Welcome to the channel. Today, some of the South American teams.
Notably, clubs in Brazil.
So we're going to start off with a really lovely colour combination.
Club Atletico Mineiro.
Not really too much to say about it other than the fact that it's the first time we've actually had a Lecoq Sportif shirt in front of us. Probably one of the things that I would stress is this is one of the styles that is made in Brazil.
Yep.
And for those that don't know why it's made in Brazil is because most of the sports manufacturers will predominantly produce their products out of China.
Yep.
It's fair to say.
Certainly Southeast Asia.
Yeah, exactly. But when it comes to the Brazilian teams, it's more beneficial for them to actually produce the product.
Yeah, there's huge import
in those
duties
regions.
bringing stuff in from Asia,
Exactly.
isn't there? So it would mean they'd have to retail at £300 or something.
Yeah. So what tends to happen is when you come to the kits, some of the kits don't have all the bells and whistles that you would expect.
Yeah.
But with regards to this particular kit, I actually think the way they've executed the badges is not too bad. There's a lot of sponsorships which have been sublimated into the black and white kits themselves. But, you know, these aren't bad. You know, they're not great. You know, they're definitely not great. They're just run of the mill.
Yeah.
And then they've mixed it with the star in the embroidery, which again, I just always have issues when stuff like that
Yeah, the back
is left on. Absolutely no need for it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say is quite nice, though, they've done a really nice neckline detail here where they've actually rolled the fabric from the inside to the outside and then
Join some rib.
and joined it in. So it looks quite nice.
Yeah.
And it stretches quite well. Overall, I don't think that's too bad. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ronaldinho used to play for these guys.
He did, right at the end of his career. Yeah, I think with the sublimation on the sponsor logos, it can look cheap, but I feel like in leagues like this one and the Belgian league, where there are loads of sponsors,
Yeah.
if they were all heat transfers, it'd cost a fortune.
Oh,
The
yeah,
shirt
absolutely.
would weigh a ton as
Oh,
well.
definitely.
So,
And it's not too bad. I mean, the sublimation print's not bad at all.
yeah, at
you
least
know?
they're not contrasted out.
And there's no bleeding. They've made a nice job of making sure it's
Yeah.
legible.
They've not toasted the fabric with it.
Yeah, so not too bad. Then we're going to go on to another kit, which Rob's going to jump onto. And he's going to take you through the next black and white one. Otherwise, it would be looking like I'm only doing Newcastle colours.
I feel like you didn't want to say the team name there, because I don't want to say
I
it
totally
either.
had it.
I like to pride myself on my football knowledge, but I am not familiar with Ceara, however we say
Chiara.
it. If you can teach us how to pronounce it, leave a comment below, because we would gladly love to correct the record. This is actually quite a nicely put together shirt, albeit very basic in terms of super simple
Who is that?
material. That's something else I can't say. Vozao, probably a Brazilian brand. They've got a Brazilian website, so it is a Brazilian brand. So another one that's made locally in Brazil.
I think the main body fabric's dreadful.
Yeah, it's cheap. I think it's interesting that they've tried to work with some different textures. So they've got kind of the interrupted, almost pinstripe through that's got the meshes in it. This has got the checkered knit into the collar, which the hand feel of it's pretty scratchy. But I like the idea of what they've tried to do. They've just obviously having to hit really keen price points for that part of the world.
Yeah, they're having a go.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're definitely having a go.
little label at the bottom, a bit stiffer than I'd normally like, certainly on a European shirt. But as a feature, it's something you wouldn't very often see on a shirt from that part of the world.
Oh, that's not good though.
Oh no, look at that. Just like an unwanted credit card. It
Wow.
snapped and died.
That's not good. Sorry, Subside. We might have to give this one away.
Yeah, Heartbreak Hotel. I mean, it'd definitely be a good one for a collector, even with the broken badge. In fact, it might be worth a bit more now, with you being a bit of a celebrity.
Yeah,
And all that. So, I don't know if I'd really like to give it a high score. I think compared to the European teams.
I would certainly give it more than the one that we've
Yeah,
just looked
definitely.
at.
Although
we can come back to them all.
Yeah, I don't
Why
think it's
we
really
review them
fair
all?
to compare them to the stuff that's made by the European
Yeah.
brands rather than done locally. This one is a team that I've done a bit of work on when I was at Umbro. Gremio, who play in the Porto Alegre part of Brazil. And so this one's cheap, to be honest. It's all print details. The nice part to it is they're celebrating 3 different championship wins in the back, the anniversary of them in 1921, 1981 and 1996. And then they give a little bit more detail to that in the hem, which is quite unusual really to be spelling it out. But overall, it's just a really lightweight fabric. It has got some sort of body map detail
Yeah, it
in
has.
it.
So that's what I was just looking at. So the back of the shirt is body map, which
Much
is
better
actually
than
not
the
too
front.
bad. What I do think's quite interesting though is because of the body map on the back, what they've done is they've actually sublimated the same sort of texture on the front, which I think is quite good. But I mean, comparing that kit to the other two that we just looked at, that is by far a better standard of kit. You know, there's definitely some things that I'm not overly keen on. That back neck tape's not great for me.
Yeah, the back neck tape's quite stiff on it. I think, again, it's a woven one, no real stretch to it. So I don't like that. I think the inside execution of that, where the backer on it hasn't been removed at all, and it's so stiff.
Well, there's about 4 layers there.
Yeah.
There you go.
You could clean an old wok with that.
But that's what should have happened at the factory.
Yeah, it's not
That
hard,
should
is
all
it?
be taken off.
So there you go. For your chance to win these bits of material.
It's still an awful mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not great at all.
So I think scoring them against the European clubs and brands, they would score pretty low. I think we've got to take them for what they are. So I'd probably just go first, second, third out of these. And for me, I would say we've probably got them in order, first, second, third.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I am going to give them marks out of 11
Oh, yeah.
based on their region.
Yep.
So I would probably say 2, 4, 6.
Okay.
So pretty much the
Yeah,
same
because
sort of
we've
result.
reviewed other shirts, not necessarily from Brazil, but certainly from
Other
the region,
parts of the world
yeah,
and
like
stuff.
Ecuador, Peru, and things like that, and they've definitely been to a higher standard.
Yep.
If you missed those videos, you can find links up here.
Yeah. So, yeah, cool.
Yeah, not a bad effort given where it's at, but just some of the basics have been missed, unfortunately. So we'd love to know your thoughts, and to make sure you don't miss any in the future.
Lads, come on, you forgot this one.
You've got to shout out dickhead or something. You've got to
Probably
say
not
something.
dickhead, but DVD extra for you. So this one is another local brand for Brazil called Leão 1918. They've done a theme for this shirt around tradition, which they've even put in Portuguese on the back in gold, along with this rather funky, fully sublimated number, which...
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I wonder whether they've done all of the numbers for the squad or whether this is just as a replica. And,
You would think so.
yeah, and it just
Yeah,
works
you would
out a
think
little
so.
bit more cost effective to sublimate it. With these numbers, with the style of them, they're pretty jazzy, but you wouldn't get away with those in Europe. They would be massively in breach of the regulations because of all the different colours and lines and outlines on it. This one I did take a look at earlier, and it was quite nicely put together, albeit quite old-fashioned in terms of the material. There's the piping detail in the shoulder that I've not seen in a football shirt since
1980 something.
yeah, probably something like that. We've got, I forget what kit we've had one of these on before, where it's got like the credit card style badge on. That one's woven, and this is made from the stuff they make credit cards out of. But I mean, it's at least it's nice. It's got a nice texture and a bit of thought into it, rather than just
All
being
right,
a
pretty
wax-on embroidery.
You could open tins of beans with that though. That is so stiff. I'm sure if you just ragged that round a can of Heinz beans, you'd be opening that in seconds. And what I also really don't like about that is you can just see where it's blistering.
Yeah.
They've not actually applied it properly. And you can also see it even more on the inside where it's completely blistered.
Yeah, so the fabric wasn't flat.
I mean, that would be rejected in most places. You just wouldn't get away with that. It's like this thing I keep on saying. It's all about what the fans have to pay for.
Yeah, and especially places where money's a little bit harder to come by. I appreciate that the brands are working to a tight budget to accommodate that market, but if that's going on there, it doesn't cost a cent extra to make sure it goes on properly.
Well, that's my exact thought. But to be fair, it's not too bad. The neckline's not too bad. Not a massive fan of it, if I'm honest, but it's not too bad. Yeah, it's just a little bit different from what we've seen in some of the other kits, but I think by and large it looks a little bit more like a rugby top for me. But yeah, marks out at 20. Why? Marks out at 20. So marks out of 11, I'd probably give that possibly a wee bit higher than the other one. I'd probably go 7 based on, you know, locality and all the rest of it.
They've had a good go at this.
It's
I'd
definitely
say.
better than the other ones. Let's leave it at that.
Badly made though, look at
Oh
that.
my.
It's like they've run out of thread and just kept going.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no 7s for you. So if we'd have got another one that was properly made, it'd have scored a 7, but this one's
Yeah,
rubbish, that. Because if I crack
outrageous.
that seam now, I can put my finger straight through
Yeah,
the
well,
hole.
don't do that.
I won't.
But subside, I'll have to send that back. Yeah, we'll
So,
see.
yeah, if you've made it to the end of the video, you've watched the whole thing now. So press the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Oh, that's another Brazilian one there. We've missed it.
All right, so we need to get him in as well then. If you just chuck it in as if we're trying to finish these off, you could say, oi, dickheads, you forgot this one.